You know, guys, I've been thinking recently. I know, dangerous concept to imagine. Lock me up for it. But there really is nothing quite like going through a trilogy, is there? The satisfaction of going through a beginning, middle, and end that can consistently keep up the quality is absolutely amazing. Star Wars, Toy Story, Lord of the Rings, all of those kind of represent what a trilogy should hold their standard to. Because there's definitely only 3 movies in the Toy Story trilogy, they never made another movie after it. That being said, there are also sequels that kinda end up missing what makes a trilogy good, like landing on its feet, aka Spider-Man, Mass Effect, Star Wars, again, like twice. No! That being said, I genuinely think that Trails 3rd shows us how to end a trilogy on a very high note. So with that being placed onto the table, how does it hold up in terms of a game? Well, how about we get into that? Join me today as we wrap up the Trails trilogy reviews with my review of Trails in the Sky 3rd. Alrighty, let's get into this shizness, shall we? Now to start things off, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or more specifically, the new protagonist in the room. Yeah, surprisingly, instead of finishing up the trilogy by playing as Estelle, the main character role is actually handed over to none other than the heretic hunter himself, Kevin. A change I, at first, was pretty shocked and confused by. But as I thought about it more, it actually makes sense why Estelle isn't the protagonist of the Trails trilogy anymore. Her whole journey was about finding Joshua and bringing him back home after the events of FC. Dealing with Ouroboros was always much more of something that was just kind of happening along the way, mainly just due to Joshua being tied to Ouroboros. And at the end of SC, Estelle and Joshua are reunited and happily together. Her journey is finished. So it makes much more sense to focus on Kevin, given the fact that at the end of SC, it's revealed that it's his job to hunt down Ouroboros members. And with Kevin at the forefront, you finally get to learn about the true face of the man known as the Heretic Hunter. And what is his journey like? All I gotta say about it is... Damn! This might be one of the most depressing, cold, yet insanely enthralling storylines in the entire trilogy. Especially when you tie in his connection to the new party member and pseudo-sister, girlfriend? I don't know, the relationship isn't really clear at the end of the game. Race, whose fractured bond with Kevin leads to a very strong tension that gets a very well-developed amount of screen time as the story progresses. And since we're on the topic of development, I gotta say, I'm very impressed by how many characters got developed in this game, considering just how much development they had already gotten. Falcom just continues to impress, I guess. And I got a bunch of favorites. From Tita's desire to build a giant version of Peter Mater herself, so she can find a way to connect with the wayward Ren, to Julia growing to realize how much Chloe has grown, and surprisingly enough, Ren herself growing to understand the true meaning of bonds just a little bit more. Oh, did I forget to mention you unlock not only Ren as a selectable party member, but the Giga Chad war criminal, Alan Richard, as a party member as well? Well, since I didn't, how about we add them to our discussion about what's coming up next? And that's the gameplay. Now, unlike FC and SC, which had the party traveling through the world of Liberel, Trails 3rd has the casket sent to a strange dimensional plane known as Phantasma. And your goal is to find the people who sent you there, beat their asses within an inch of their life, and get out. It turns the more expansive RPGs of the first 2 games into more of a dungeon crawler style of game, where it's a lot of find the checkpoint, beat the bosses, go back and restock your resources, rinse and repeat. I've heard some people have the complaint that because of this, it's more filler than it is an actual mainline title, and you can skip it. And to an extent, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I very much disagree. While Liberal as a whole doesn't really matter here, this game both closes out many character arcs and sets up several new ones that will hopefully be explored in the Crossbelt arc coming up. And all of these setups are utilized by what's known as the door system, a sort of side quest mechanic that has you entering various doors around Phantasma that explore both characters you have and haven't met, alongside introducing several new antagonists to the franchise that we will face later. It works at both closing and opening all new doors to explore, no pun intended. And there's a lot of these doors, from Tita meeting her parents again, to learning more of Oliver's true goals, and Star Door 15, one of the single most traumatizing moments I've had in an RPG. The doors aren't perfect, they do have some issues, but they work for what they do. These doors, when completed, can also lead to new items or crafts, giving an incentive to their exploration. Another pro to this game is its level design. Now, I'm a sucker for a good level design, and I'm happy that Third keeps the excellent level design of its predecessors. Phantasma is such an intriguing and ominous place that constantly just feels like you're a mere speck in this foreboding labyrinth of darkness. A hell of illusions, I could even call it. Now, how about combat? Now, I normally try to talk about that early on, but I kinda can't, mainly because there isn't really much to talk about. It's basically unchanged from SC outside of the new party members you get, with the addition of a support system that adds on some extra buffs in battle. It's not bad in the slightest, it's still very fun, so I don't think it being unchanged is a problem really, but I will spend some time to talk about the new party members. Rice is a good mid to long range fighter with a useful AoE craft attacks. Ren is a very good close quarters fighter as long as you keep the death blow equipment on, and actually has a lot of potential with magic casting. And Wretched is a very short-ranged fighter that when built with the right ordnance can become a fucking juggernaut of destruction. Outside of those three, there's really nothing to talk about. Combat is pretty much the same, which again, is not a bad thing considering how much I like the combat. And that's pretty much it for the pros. Now it's time to talk about the cons. The praise has been given. Let us move on to its faults. First and foremost, let's talk about the doors. Now, I know I was praising the doors earlier, but I'm gonna need you to hear me out on this one. Now, the doors are a great idea that offer a lot of side content to get involved in, but these doors suffer from some pretty bad pacing issues. Some are paced decently well, but some are just horrible at it, making it this conflicting mishmash of short 10 to 30 minute skits that involve explanations for certain scenes and little boss fights, to hour-long sessions of you reading texts with little to no combat whatsoever. A good example of this is the Chloe-centric door, which explores Chloe's first few weeks at the academy and her meeting their friends there, along with lovable asshole Lecter, which is great as it's fun to learn more about her. But the entire fucking thing is almost 2 hours of boring ass wandering around and talking to several boring nobodies. I'm not joking when I state there is absolutely no combat in this entire door section. Just talking, and then moving to another spot and talking more, then going to another spot and talking more, and then you get the point. It's just endless talking forever, and it is annoying as shit. Another one was actually the first ever door you unlock using Tita. I did like seeing Tita interact with her family, and her mom is hilarious as fuck, probably one of the funniest characters in this entire trilogy. But man, nearly 40 minutes of nothing but reading text boxes made me want to smash my head into the keyboard. That's honestly my only major problem with the game. So let's move on to the more minor stuff. For one, the party lineup. Now in Third, when you get teleported to Phantasma, and you only have Kevin and Rias at the start, you start to acquire new party members through gathering the green spheres in the planes you visit. It's a good system for sure, and I do enjoy it, but the lineup of unlocks is a bit off to me. For example, the first character you unlock is Tita. But why though? We already have a long-ranged fighter in the style of Kevin, and a mid-ranged fighter in Race, so why do we need another mid to long-ranged fighter? Wouldn't it make more sense to give us someone like, I don't know, Joshua or Xin off the bat? Considering that would be better in terms of balance, as they're much more close-ranged fighters? Or maybe even a caster like Chloe to deal with the lack of magic. I get the concept of wanting to tie specific characters to areas as references, but it ends up causing an imbalance in your party as a result of it. It's not inherently the worst thing ever, because you can get used to it if you use your ordnance rights, but it does feel odd that the game would just give you 2 long-range fighters and then 1 mid-range fighter, and not a single close-range one, until a few hours later. Another small nitpick is the game can be kind of grindy, considering you have to train at least 12 different characters, but the EXP system does help deal with that. So it's not really a huge thing I wanted to complain about. It was just a little thing that I noticed, and if you play, get ready for a few grindy sections. Other than that, no real other complaints. So how about we move on to my final thoughts? Trails 3rd may have some parts where it trips up a bit, but there's no denying it is an amazing game, and a definitive example of how you end your trilogy on an incredibly high note. And it's an all-around just slam dunk of a game. My final rating for this game is a fantastic 9 out of 10. And that's it. The Sky Trilogy is finally completed. Gotta admit, I'm kind of sad it's over. I spent so much time falling in love with this trilogy that I'm kinda bummed we finish it. But I know it couldn't last forever. I've got a few more videos planned for the Sky games, but now I have new horizons to cover. If you like this video, please give me a like down below, and if you want more RPG tomfoolery, go hit that sub button as well. Now if you all need me, I'm heading to Crossbell. Hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.